All right, so moving on, our third story. I don't know if you want to take this one, Katie, or do you want to take the fourth one? Because I think you did the last Justin Timberlake. If you want to do this Justin Timberlake as well.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, so our third story this week is very interesting to me now that I'm a grandfather instead of a father. I'm still a father, but I'm not a father of school age children. I am now a grandfather of preschool age children. But I found this to be interesting. Very recently, within the last couple of years, there are dozens, in fact, of Texas independent school districts that are adopting a 4-day school week, which I find very interesting. And the reasons for this, in some cases, is because of post pandemic financial reasons. There are other reasons as well that I want to talk about as well. But for some of these ISDs, not all, but some of them are talking about lingering effects from the pandemic. And those lingering effects have caused many Texas school districts to struggle with attendance rates and funding, which is leading many to adopt a 4-day school week model to help. In Texas, there are currently 83 districts that have approved a 4-day school week, affecting almost 100,000 students, according to an analysis. Now, Lomita ISD, which is about 100 miles north of Austin, is one of the districts that adopted a 4-day school week, and Superintendent Rob Moore said it is already helping. Quote, "We are currently at about 96% attendance, which will be slightly improved from the most recent years," said Moore. "We have shown a marked increase in student enrollment since beginning the 4-day week." Now, in 2015, the Texas legislature passed House Bill 2610, which is striking the required 180 days of instruction and instead replacing it with requiring districts and charter schools to operate for a minimum of 75,600 minutes. There is a big difference between that, which will allow districts to adopt a 4-day school week. Now, Lomita ISD chose a Tuesday to Friday school week with Monday as their optional day, which I'm curious what that means. Quote, "Lomita ISD has provided programming, snacks, and lunch on each optional day for students in pre-K to 5, as well as periodic tutorials for students in all grades who need extra help. So kids can still go to school on the 5th day if they want, at least in this school district. Uh, the
That's
optional
pretty
day
cool.
the optional day has, quote, provided teachers with increased planning time and the opportunity to attend staff development meetings, with most Lomita staff reporting significant improvements in mental health. And that is the key, and that is the main reason why a lot of school districts, not just in Texas but beyond, are adopting a 4-day school week, is because of mental health and educational burnout, which is something I'm sure all three of us have dealt with.
Yeah,
In
that's what I was going to say. I'm already at my shop. I'm at a 4-day week because sometimes when I hit the ground running on Tuesday, my first day back, it's like I don't really. It's like a flash when Friday gets there. So I'm all for the 4-day week. There's so many businesses that switched to 4-day weeks since right before COVID and then after COVID. I mean, just because of the economy. I mean, if you think about it, sometimes if people already know that other businesses are closed on Mondays, well, there you already know pretty much not to open on Monday because they're not going to come by. I mean, there's a lot of people not even out on Mondays in my town anyway, and
Mhm.
I mean, unless they absolutely have to. But I just kind of my personal opinion on it was like 4 tens is enough. For especially, I mean, not for everybody, but somebody like me that I have, 4 kids. Me and my wife's trying to, make everything work with them. They're all in sports. I do live music, sometimes Thursday through Sunday, sometimes just depending on what it is. But we're very trying to be very family oriented from where I was in the past. And I mean, whenever I first opened my shop up, I was like, man, I've got to get to where I can be on a 4-day week. And that's where I'm at now. And then I've seen it on the news, just like what we're talking about, the whole spill of Smith County, a couple other counties trying to get on board with the same thing because it just like it gives somebody even extra rest if they need it because of just, exactly like you said, mental health issues, sometimes just emotionally and, physically exhausted. Sometimes you need that extra day. And a lot of people think, oh, well, they're just pussies. No, that people don't understand. I mean,
Mhm.
somebody has, just like my song, Wandering Mind. Somebody has something like that going on all the time. It's hard to cope with it without having that extra day sometimes. And that's kind of what I use Mondays for. Sometimes I used to say, oh, I'm going to go to work and work for a little while. Now I'm just like, you know what, Mondays, it's just already shot to hell anyway. Never had nothing come good of a Monday, it seemed like. So
Mhm.
that's just my opinion on it.
There's a lot of different factors in this too, and I'm glad you're here, Ryan, because you can give us a lot of insight on this. One of the things that is being demonized for this new 4-day week is there's a lot of parents out there like yourself that don't want to go from 5 to 4 because they feel like they're going to miss a day of work. And if they miss a day of work on top of the fact that they have to find either they're going to miss a day of work or they're going to have to find somebody to take care of their children, especially their younger children, and that's going to eat into their income as well. So that is
Yeah.
one of the things. Now, as a parent of school-age children, can you kind of see that mentality as well from parents who maybe are a little concerned about having to find um, somebody to watch their kids for that third day?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of do, but I mean, one thing is, just like during the summer, for example, I don't know if they'll still offer it, but during the summer, the whole time at Grand Saline School District, they offered free lunches. As long as you showed up there to get it some way, you could have a lunch for each one of your kids just because that's what our state of Texas is doing for the kids. You know what I'm saying? And, it's the state. They're putting their hands in there and saying, hey, these kids that you've been coming to school, that's some only way they've been able to eat. So that these extra days has been all added up on summer. They've been offering all these kids free lunches at school if they just, have somebody to go and get them. I mean, there was even kids that I know, I had one guy working for me. He said his son was riding his bicycle up there and getting his lunch just because they're trying to make it. And
Mm.
that's kind of the deal. I mean, that's real. I mean, I guess you say it's thoughtful. And if they were to do that, I mean, that would give the parents a little bit extra, not having to worry if they had offered that day for an extra lunch. Because some people, I mean, you don't understand this economy is like it is or used to be back in the old days. I mean, there's still a lot of people suffering, and they're going to school hoping that they get fed, and that's what they're relying on, free lunches and stuff like that. Whenever you're that broke, I mean, and you take one day out, I mean, that's where you can kind of go to both sides of the fence of it. You
Yeah,
know,
I love that point too. Food insecurity is a major issue in this country. Now, Katie, you are the youngest of the three of us and the closest to school age. How do you think this would have affected you if it was instituted while you were still in school? And I know you were homeschooled, but you did go to public school for a while as well. So tell
sure.
us what you think would be better for you as a student.
I I think the optional day is awesome. Cause like sometimes like you just want to go hang out with your friends or like crap, we got this test coming up, like I need to study for that, I need help. I always was like I was homeschooled for like the later portion of my school career. Um but I man, I sucked. I'm so bad. I am such a hands-on learner. I have to have someone like telling me,
Mm-hmm.
like map it out for me. I can't like look at a computer and like got it. So so that would be and I know like most kids wouldn't show up. Like you could have like more one-on-one time like for help cuz God knows I needed it. But I mean, and then I mean, I'm a little bit different, but I had shows and stuff on the
Mm-hmm.
weekends. What I wouldn't have done after a show on a Sunday night to have Monday off at school.
So just to wrap up this story, studies have shown, not just in the United States but worldwide, that the shorter school weeks, number one, increased student attendance across the board. Literally, because they had a 1 day less of school, they were more likely to show up the other 4 days. That's the first thing. The second thing is, and this has been something that has been a lot of people have said that taking them out of school that 1 day is going to make the test scores go down. And studies have shown the direct opposite of that. Test scores have actually increased with the less school time that's being instituted. Now, all the studies don't show that, but for the most part, the majority of the studies done by places like Harvard and people that know a lot more than I do have shown that decreased time in school has increased test scores. And I think because of those studies, that's why you see a lot of these school districts are like, yo, we can increase school or test scores, we can increase attendance and decrease funding. I mean, this is a win-win.
Talking about.
Say what?
I said that's some more of that mind rest I'm talking about.
Yeah, and it's so important too, not just for the students, but for the teachers as well. Because, I mean, we all know the teachers are not funded as well as they should be. I mean, obviously, they should be making a lot more money than they do. But giving them that extra day to prepare, even though they're probably still at school, I imagine it's less stressful, than having an optional day is probably less stressful than a full day of school. Go ahead, Kadie.
I mean, people don't realize it because at school you're learning. It's just as bad as having a fucking job. You're just as tired.
It is worse. It is worse. I am here to tell you it's actually worse.
And half the time you got to go home and work hours on homework. People are assholes. Kids are assholes. Teachers are assholes sometimes. Like, I would have killed.
I mean, let's compare jobs versus school just real quick. When we're in a job, we know we have to work our ass off, but we also know why we're doing it. We're doing it so we get a paycheck. And we have
usually the same shit day to day.
When you're a kid, the only reason why you go to school is because your dad will whip your ass if you don't. That's the only reason why you go.
Why do I got to do this? That's exactly what my son.
Yep. They ain't getting a paycheck. They don't understand what they're getting out of it. They, like I said, they're only going so they don't get their backside whipped. You know what I'm saying? So I would personally say that going to school for a kid is worse than an adult going to work. That's just my opinion as an adult.
I absolutely agree.
And they have to go. They don't get to drive themselves there. They have to spend sometimes upwards of an hour on a bus there and back sometimes, depending on how far away they live. They're getting up at 6:30 in the morning. They're not getting home till 5. Then if they're doing sports on top of that, it might be 8 or 9 before they get home. Those are ridiculous hours for somebody who's not yet fully grown. Period.
Yep.
I mean, that's nutso to me. So kudos for these school districts that are looking out for them. I know a lot of this is financially based as well, so there are ulterior motives. But there are school districts out there that aren't worried about the money, that are simply doing this because of mental health, and kudos to them.